So Terry Jackson, the executive director of the WNBA, released the following statement.
There comes a point when silence becomes betrayal. When the person tasked with protecting the league chooses instead to protect her own image, to play politics with the sport, and to turn a blind eye to injustice, then we have to ask the question, is it time for her to go? Stay until the end of this video because I'm about to show you the most damaging evidence yet that could end Cathy Engelbert's career forever. This isn't just another sports controversy. This is about the complete neglect of the greatest player in WNBA history. Caitlin Clark didn't just step into the WNBA. She completely changed it. She didn't just bring fans. She brought millions. She didn't just boost ratings. She broke them into a million pieces. But instead of being welcomed by the league, she single-handedly lifted to national importance. Caitlin Clark found herself repeatedly punished, ignored, dismissed, and in many ways set up to fail by the very people who should have been protecting her. And at the center of it all was Commissioner Cathy Engelbert, the one person with the power to change the course of this league, but who at every critical moment chose to do nothing. Now, with leaked memos going viral online, explosive officiating scandals making headlines, and the trust of the fan base disappearing faster than ever, the conversation is growing, louder and more urgent. Could Cathy Engelbert actually be fired? And more importantly, should she be? The turning point came when a leaked internal memo began circulating online. An alleged order from a senior referee supervisor within the WNBA that suggested referees should limit favorable calls for Caitlin Clark, not because of the rules, not because of fairness, but to manage league optics and avoid overexposure. Let's be crystal clear. This wasn't about balance. This wasn't about integrity. This was about controlling the story around the most important player in women's basketball history. And the worst part? Multiple referees came forward to confirm that, yes, this happened. Yes, they were told to let things go when it involved Clark, and they actively tried to stop it. And while fans demanded answers, while players began whispering behind the scenes, Cathy Engelbert gave the most generic, empty denial you can imagine, and then refused to address it again. She didn't open an investigation. She didn't reassure Clark. She didn't speak to the fans. She went silent, hoping it would all blow over. It didn't. In fact, it got worse. Much worse. Caitlin Clark had just come off the most exhausting and celebrated college basketball season in history. She carried Iowa to the national championship game, broke scoring records that had stood for decades, and played nearly every minute of every game under the brightest spotlight you can imagine. So what did the WNBA do for its biggest ever rookie? Instead of taking care of their star, they tried to bury her talent under exhaustion and burnout. But that was just the beginning of the nightmare. Throughout last season, Caitlin Clark took some of the most obvious, violent, and reckless contacts seen in modern women's basketball. Shoulder checks, hip tosses, eye pokes, cheap shots delivered with full force while cameras rolled. By the end of the season, Clark had taken 17% of all flagrant fouls in the entire WNBA, one player absorbing almost a fifth of the league's most dangerous physical hits. And yet, despite how serious this was, despite the obvious targeting, Cathy Engelbert said absolutely nothing. No statements defending player safety, no punishment for repeat offenders, no changes in officiating, just silence, and the message couldn't have been clearer. As long as the drama brought in views, the well-being of the player drawing those views didn't matter. Even as Clark's teammates began to worry for her safety, even as fans begged the league to step in, Engelbert stayed in the background, watching quietly as the player who saved her league got beaten up game after game. But wait, there's more. And this next part will absolutely blow your mind. The biggest insult of all came during the playoffs. The one that made it obvious this league was determined to keep Caitlin Clark out of the spotlight. As the WNBA launched its biggest marketing campaign of the season, with billboards, highlight reels, and nationwide promotion, Caitlin Clark, the player who had driven ratings to historic highs, was completely left out. No posters, no commercials, not even a mention. It was such an obvious mistake that fans couldn't even believe it at first. It felt like a joke, but it wasn't. And when asked why the league left her out, they gave no answer because they had none. This was a deliberate choice, and Engelbert let it happen.